Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday. It's a little bit after 11, and that's the "as" part of Elevenses. Right, Julia? Every Wednesday we get together here in our little crowdcast area, and we discuss new, upcoming, recently released, and old favorite titles with our fabulous publishers representatives, our experts, our book whisperers, and our booksellers as well, who fulfill the same functions actually. And we post links to all of these wonderful books that we talk about in the chat bar over there that you can go ahead and click on now or later and order from Diesel. And that's why we call this time Elevenses with the reps at Diesel Bookstore. So welcome everybody. I'm going to introduce our fabulous, wonderful panel here in a moment. But first I want to tell you about some exciting events we have coming up at Diesel. Tonight at 6:30 p.m. we've got Kylie Sakita with Shohei Carpenter, and they're going to be discussing and signing So Easy, So Good, delicious recipes and expert tips for balanced eating. So just to get you hungry before we even start today, and Dave's on, so
Before Dave starts and makes us hungry.
yeah, exactly. So that is going to be tonight, April 9th at 6:30 p.m. Coming up on Sunday, wonderful. Do come by the Los Angeles Book Fair. Unlimited free books for those affected by the LA wildfires. And that is going to be at Diesel. A big book fair there, and that's April 13th from 3 to 6 p.m. Diesel is partnering with author Veronica Bain, and we're going to be providing new and new books for all ages, anyone affected or displaced by the fires in LA, teachers, families, everybody who lost books and are looking to replenish their library. So do come out for that. That's going to be on Sunday, April 13th from 3 to 6 p.m. And then on Tuesday, April 15th, tax day, April 15th ish. At 6:30 p.m., Diane Morrissey with Carissa Stanton. They're going to be discussing and signing You Got This, recipes anyone can make and everyone will love. Another cookbook. It's definitely eating season. So that's going to be Tuesday, April 15th at 6:30 p.m. Now that our appetites have been whetted by the events coming up, and Joey has posted the link over there that you can see all of them coming up, the ones I talked about and into the future. You can just click on that. So this is who is here today to talk about books. We've got Julia Callahan from Hachette. We've got Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle, and batting cleanup, Tom Benton from Penguin. And behind the scenes is Joey. If you have any questions for him, especially if they're hard questions, feel free to ask. All right, Julia, get us rolling.
Okay. I am starting with a big hitter today because last Tuesday, one of our big spring/summer reading books came out. It's called Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. And Abby is one of those authors. I sort of compare her to like Emily Henry. It's romance, but it's there's definitely, it's going to pull on your heartstrings and make you shed a tear or two. Abby has been so vocal about really wanting this book to hit people sort of in the gut as they're reading it. And it's about a woman who brings her sick cat to a grumpy veterinarian, and they sort of hit it off. And then life gets in the way, as it does. But it is a romance. So I bet you can guess what happens in the end. Still, this is Abby's first hardcover. So she's made the transition from paperback releases to hardcover, and this I think is worthy of the hardcover. It's already a #1 indie bestseller last week, and it, I believe, well, I don't know if we've gotten New York Times yet, but we'll see. But it came out on Tuesday or last Tuesday, and it is a wonderful book. Say You Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Great for starting to work on your base layer tan at the pool.
Base layer. We're in base layer territory. She's great. She's well deserving of all of her attention that she's getting, and she's so reliable. I find when recommending books, especially for readers who are, um, intimidated isn't really the right word, but I've had a number of readers who've said to me, I just don't want to stress out reading anything. I want to, I just want something light that's going to, draw me in, that I don't, that I can really just get involved in and lose myself. That's not going to ask a lot from me, and Abby Jimenez is really great for that. She's just a really reliable recommend, and there's a lot of excitement for that. And I kind of feel like it's, she's on the Emily Henry trajectory, from the paperbacks, and then all the indie love, and then the publisher gets on board with it for hardcover. So
yeah, and really the indies have built her career. I mean, have
Yeah.
been sort of behind her from the get-go, and so
Absolutely.
we're seeing a lot of love for this book as well.
And she is making an appearance in San Diego somewhere.
He was just at Meet Cute last week.
Oh, she was at Meet Cute. But
yeah,
is she coming back for something? All right, never mind.
Possibly.
Never mind. I didn't say anything.
Remember.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Remember. Yeah.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks,
Dave. I know you're gonna make us hungry.
That's the idea. That's what I'm here for. And I'm gonna make you hungry twice today because I actually have 2 cookbooks to talk about. And I'll jump right in with the first one. This is a big release for us. Came out about 2 weeks ago. And this is Lugma. Comes to us from Noor Murad. You may know her. She is a member of the Otto Linke Test Kitchen. She is the author of, I think they're Clarkson Potter, the previous 2 Otto Linke Test Kitchen books. She is the co-author of those. And she also wrote for Otto Linke in his newspaper columns, nationally syndicated newspaper columns. So she has worked directly with one of the absolutely most acclaimed and beloved food cookbook authors and chefs in existence. A quick background: Chronicle did publish Otto Linke's Plenty 15 years ago. That was his debut in the U.S. market. I can't believe it's right when I started, or around the time I started at Chronicle. That book was an absolute phenomenon, kind of put him on the map. And I think that Plenty has become like a staple in many cooks' libraries. And I definitely think Lugma will become a staple in many cooks' libraries. Lugma means bite or a bite in Arabic. That is where Noor Murad comes from. She grew up in Bahrain, so it's on the Persian Gulf. And she grew up eating foods that combined a lot of different cultures and a lot of different influences. There are elements in these recipes of Iranian cooking, Arabic cooking, Persian cooking, and then a lot of kind of familiar Middle Eastern kind of flavor profiles and things that you will recognize from more kind of Middle Eastern foods. But she just brings her expertise from working with Otto Linke and all these kind of flavors that she grew up with. I'm going to jump in and show you a little bit of what's in here. There's a recipe for an Arabic pizza that looks absolutely sumptuous. Am I doing my job of getting everybody hungry at 11?
Mm-hmm. I mean, pizza. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Arabic pizza. You can't go wrong. This looks amazing to me. Nice flavor combinations. Baked mushroom rice with cinnamon and allspice.
Oh, yum.
I think cinnamon is
I want that
greatly,
now.
Yeah, I know. That looks amazing. Cinnamon is such a great thing, especially combined with savory. I think it really adds a great depth and great dimension. There's a bit of meat in here. These are pretty vegetable forward, but not a vegetarian cookbook by any stretch of the imagination. These are coffee, cardamom, and chipotle rubbed lamb chops for all the carnivores out there. She goes through, there are some breakfast dishes, there are appetizers and sides, there are even some really beautiful looking desserts. She kind of drops in a lot of remembrances between the recipes of growing up in Bahrain. how these flavors were brought to her by relatives, by her grandmother and her mother, and all these things she just grew up eating. They all kind of combine and just synthesize into this really, really sumptuous, beautiful book. Abundant Dishes and Stories from My Middle East is the subtitle. And that really kind of encapsulates what the gist of the book is. I want to read you this quick quote from Yotam. Again, if you can get Yotam to plug your book, especially if he's your boss, not a bad thing. Or if you worked, alongside of him, I mean. There's an incredible generosity to Noor's cooking, capturing the spirit of so many cooks across the Middle East. Bold gestures, big flavors, whole universes of food based around a single table. Noor is also a unique talent. Her cooking reflects the essence of home comfort, plus an unmatched, innovative palate. Just a really beautiful, dynamic cookbook. Came out end of March, and definitely something to pick up.
This is such a beautiful cookbook in person when you hold it. It's really just, it makes you want to open it. And, well, I mean, most cookbooks make me want to open them. But I think for anybody, actually, it's a gorgeous cover, Julia. But it's really, it feels so substantial in person and beautiful. Just a really amazing package, and a really the recipes look great as well. I like I think a lot of the strictly vegetarian, I'm vegetarian, so a lot of the strictly vegetarian or vegan cookbooks are kind of limited, and there's a lot of stuff I've seen before, sort of. There's always exceptions, but those that sort of focus more on plant-based but aren't exclusively that, often have some really interesting vegetable forward dishes that are creative and that you can add like a protein to, and or leave it out, so yeah, exactly. And this is definitely one of those. So a really good looking book, Dave. Thank you. Tom Benton.
Okay, so
we haven't seen you for a while, Tom, so I'm expecting big things today.
I'll do my best. You let me know. So the first book for me is one of my favorite books of the year, for sure. It is a different kind of book than, say, the Abby Jimenez, when you're looking to escape and not be challenged. This is Katie Kitamura's Audition, and it is challenging, but in all the best ways. So this is actually her fifth book, but we only started publishing her 3 books ago. There was the first one we did was I'm forgetting. I can't remember. There was sorry, A Separation, and then Intimacies, and now Audition, and they are related in the themes and the things and the women, the narrator she creates. So they are related in a certain way. The first book was about a translator. The next book was about a interpreter at The Hague, and the new book, Audition, the main character is as a famous actress. So these are all women playing roles, interpreting words and texts in different environments. So the book opens with for me, it was just like a thrilling scene, and I didn't know what was going on. So it's a scene in a restaurant in New York. This famous actress walks in. She's meeting a much younger man, and she only knows a little bit about him. She's not quite sure why she's meeting him, but she's meeting him. It's important that she does. And so they sit down. Things are a little awkward. And the world around them is always making assumptions about, like, the older woman, the younger man, what is their relationship. And into the restaurant comes her husband. She sees her husband enter the restaurant, but she hasn't told him that she's doing this. And so she's confused as to why he's there. Does he see her? And so there's all this tension building, and then he leaves the restaurant. So that's the opening scene, and it feels almost like that she's an actress. This feels like a very theatrical moment. And the book takes off from there as we learn more about this young man, the actress, and the husband. The book's about, it's like one of those books I could go on for a really long time, but really I want to have a book group about this book because there's so much to talk about. Because you get, so you are introduced to these characters, you see their lives, and then about halfway through the book, as you think you're starting to piece things together, there's a structural shift, like dramatic. And the second half of the book, very much related to the first book, but it will depend on the reader as to how we fit these pieces together. It's ambitious, it's exciting. I've seen some of the reviews talk about it as almost like a psychological thriller, which you could read it that way. And I heard her interviewed, and she talked about how she could have written a book, a very straightforward book. That's that's almost easy for her to do, but she wanted to try something that she wasn't sure she could pull off, but she does. And I say this book is like, you read this in 2 sittings, because you can see it's not very big, but you'll close it, you'll read it in 1 sitting, and then you'll close the book and you'll start over again, because you really have to. And the second reading will be different than your first reading. So as I say, it's challenging, but very readable, very accessible if you open yourself up to the mysteries of this book. I think so we have quotes. We have quotes from 3 writers. If you like these writers, you will get a sense of this book is for you. Lauren Groff, Rachel Kushner, Hernan Diaz. So Hernan Diaz says, "You've never read anything like this gorgeously disquieting book. Audition challenges our preconceptions about love, art, and selfhood, and magnificently our very idea of how a novel should unfold. If all the world's a stage, Kitamura reminds us that we never stop auditioning for our parts," because that is in many ways what the book is about, how we play roles in our lives. We play roles as sales reps, husbands, sons, daughters, all these we're role playing all the time. And that's in many ways the subject of the book. So there's so much to talk about. So read it. And not everyone will love this book. And I love books that are like that challenge us and, make us question what a novel is. And she does it in less than 200 pages. So Audition by Katie Kitamura.
The best kind, right? So it's funny you should mention, I haven't read this book yet, but like Joey says, Intimacies is so good, such a great book. Yeah. Such an interesting writer, and this book, it's on the to be read pile. And when I suggested actually for our book group, because I felt like it would be, that's another way I get myself to read things, is by saying, yes, let's do it for the book group. And then I definitely have to. But I think just from what I know about it, it's great book club material. And
absolutely perfect.
Yeah, as are all the authors who have given blurbs for it, as you just mentioned, right? Yeah. So definitely a make you think and create a great discussion type of book. So we'll get back to you on how that panned out, Tom.
I can't wait to hear.
Yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to mention we have signed copies, right, Joey? I think, right. Yeah. Indie Next pick and signed copies. So yeah, more reasons. Okay.
And this will be a book that is going to be on 10 best lists at the end of the year. First two, the last 2 books were New York Times 10 best.
Yeah.
I see no reason not to have this one there too.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Tom. Julia, back to you.
Okay, I'm going to follow in Dave's footsteps and do a cookbook now. This is one of my 2 favorite cookbooks of this season. This is called How to Cook the Finest Things in the Sea by Ari Kolender. And if you're around Los Angeles, Ari is the chef behind Found Oyster, Barra Santos, Queen Street, and Red Dog Saloon. This is an absolutely gorgeous seafood cookbook. But it also, what I really love about it is it's a cookbook for any kind of skill level. I feel like seafood is one of those things that people are sort of timid about cooking. And to be honest, myself included, my dad worked in the fish business and he always cooked the seafood. So I've been trying to teach myself now because I'm terrible at cooking. Well, it freaks me out to cook it. And this book is so the recipes are so easy. They like break it down in a way that even if you're nervous about cooking seafood, like it breaks it down so that it's like really hard to mess up the seafood. It's seasonal cooking as well. So there's a particular fish recipe that's like fish and paper that I love, and it's got like different seasonal like it's got different seasonal sort of like vegetables that you cook with it and stuff like that. So it's just a gorgeous cookbook. It is so I've had such a good time cooking from it, and really like usually when I cook fish, I'm like I'm not having a great time. It's like one of the few things I don't really love to cook. And this has made it like a lot more fun for me. It's yeah, it's just great recipes, simply done for any skill level. So even if you are sort of well versed in fish, like the book itself is so, the recipes are so great that you'll definitely want to have this one on your shelf. And Ari's restaurants, I think, are a testament to what a great cook he is. So
yeah, you guys do a lot of great cookbooks, Julia, and but you don't talk about them that often. So I know when you bring a cookbook, it's one that you really stand behind, and it does look really good, Dave. I mean, and especially I think important because I do think cooking seafood is quite intimidating for a lot of people. When back in my waitressing days, it was intimidating just to serve seafood. We had to like, with the whole fish, I remember serving whole fish and having to debone it at the table, and that was always a thing.
And I just feel like it's so hard. It's easy to like overcook salmon or shrimp, or like it's so easy to overdo it. And so he really
exactly. It's like, do I sous vide this, or do I wait? Let me go get my sous vide. Yeah, so really fun and great California cookbook, obviously, because we've got access to a lot of great seafood here. So parchment pouches are your friend, Dave says. Yeah, what is it called? Is it just something like en papier or something simple like that, or does it have a different term?
There's some name that I'll screw up, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in this book, he just calls it fish and paper.
All right, and fine.
That's what it is. I mean, I'm sure it has a fancier name. But and then he has like in that recipe, there's like the spring edition, the summer edition. So some of the vegetables and some of the things that you're cooking with are seasonal. So, if you, like me, buy a lot of your vegetables at the farmer's market, so they are seasonal, like that's helpful for,
right,
getting the right stuff.
The seasonal cookbooks are great because it really gives you a kind of shopping list actually for what can I get now, what's there, what can I do. It does a lot of the legwork for you. So so looks like a fantastic book. Thank you, Julia. All right, everybody's hungry now, which means we're going to go back to Dave.
Okay, thank you. All right, round two. I debated. I was going to feature a different book, which I'll do in my next Elevenses, but then I realized how much I love this book and how blown away I was when my sample finally showed up. Get ready, this is huge. I don't know if you can tell how big this is compared next to my gigantic head, but this is the complete illustrated guide to Japanese cooking. It is freaking massive. This book is huge. I sold this all season, and like I think this is a rep thing. You're selling and you're like, what the trim size of a book is, and you see it written in the notes, but then when the actual book shows up, you don't even have it in your head how dynamic and big the book is. And I took this out of the box. I was like, oh my god, this is so beautiful.
I mean, that looks like a Fiden book,
it does,
right?
It is, it's like stunning. I took this out of the box, the UPS box, and I was just like, this is the most beautiful thing. These are techniques, ingredients, and recipes. This is from Hardy Grant, which is one of our major imprints, are one of our publishers. We distribute at Chronicle for cookbooks. We do Hardy Grant and Quadrille, as well as the Chronicle food books. But wow, what a book. This is broken down into 3 sections: essentials, recipes, and there's an illustrated glossary. Basically, in essentials, it teaches you essential techniques, how to cut fish and chicken up, how to wash and cook rice, how to make favorite dishes like okono, I'm going to say this wrong. I practiced, and I'm going to screw it up. Okonomiyaki, tempura, onigiri, donburi, as well as desserts such as a matcha roll cake and a black sesame ice cream. Let me just dig in and start to show you what this looks like inside. Basically, as simple as this gets, we start with sushi rice, plain rice. You get an infographic on the facing page, really cool illustrations that shows you kind of the dish or the ingredient and all the sort of components. And then a photographic how to step by step, how to make each one of these 100 absolutely classic and essential Japanese dishes. There are sections called Understand. So you can understand how umami works. There's my tongue, there's your tongue. These are all the different elements that hit us in flavor buds. This tells us how soy sauce works. It's got this really bold, kind of vibrant graphic look. Here's how to create dashi broth, all the uses for it and ways that you can kind of adapt it in your cooking. It just goes kind of ingredient by ingredient, technique by technique, method by method, preparing fish with diagrams. Speaking of fish cooking, all kinds of ways to clean and parse fish and cut it up. I think Japanese cooking has kind of risen in popularity in America in the last few years. I've certainly, like in a culinary or a restaurant sense, I've seen a lot more izakayas opening up and people eating just a lot more kind of quick and accessible Japanese food. But it is intimidating, and a lot of people think it's going to be impossible to recreate at home, and it's really not. This breaks it down in a way that's so visual. It's so step by step. Let me see if I can show you another really nice spread. I mean, look at this donburi bowl. I mean, you really just you can do this. I'm here to tell you, you can do this at home by following all of these wonderfully laid out visual instructions. There's even an illustrated glossary in the back that shows you equipment that you need, how to go shopping at a Japanese market, which again can be intimidating if you don't know what you're doing.
You have to know what you're doing. You do.
You have to know what you're doing. Sometimes I like when I go to H Mart or wherever, or 99 Ranch, I like to just wander. And there's times at the Japanese market that I'll stress myself out, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what I'm looking for. And other times,
or what is this?
What is this? Just letting yourself drift through the store and touch everything and look at everything and just calming down, in a way, just open your brain and just, what is this ingredient? Well, let me look at it. This book, I'm not suggesting you carry this 3-pound book with you in your hand at the grocery store, but maybe research it before you go, read up on what you're looking for, and then dive in, go to your market, see what interests you. It's just a really dynamic and beautiful book, not to mention just monstrously huge, which is exciting. So out now, came out about a month ago. Really one of the most spectacular cookbooks I think Chronicle has had a hand in quite a while.
I must have missed this one, Dave, because it's beautiful. I haven't seen it, but I love a book, like Joey says, I love a book with knife work instructions. But part of the part of the bonus of a book like this is explaining the way things work, the way flavor works, the way your taste works, the way different ingredients work, what they are. And it really helps you take that through and gives you courage to try a recipe that you feel like might be a little bit daunting. We had a little time here during the pandemic where we were experimenting along with everybody else with things. But that's when we discovered that making sushi is actually it's totally doable. If you know a few things, and you can make really pretty decent sushi if you know what you're doing. But I totally hear you about going to H Mart or similar kinds of, but sometimes if you're looking for something in particular, you're like, I have no idea where this is. I don't have no idea what this is, or what this package says, or what I'm looking for. Is this the right mushroom? Or but a book like this is really helpful for that. Like Julie says, take a photo of what to buy. Here, I need this. I enjoy Joey's comment here that you can carry it with you to the grocery store if you're not a coward. No, show it to everybody. It's great. Gorgeous book. It looks like a Phaidon book, and that is a compliment. All your books are great, Dave, but Phaidon really does these exquisite kinds of cookbooks, and this really looks right up there with one of those.
Yeah, so very dynamic.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. Tom does not have a cookbook.
I never seem to have a cookbook, do I? In the fall, I'm going to have a cookbook, at least one. But okay, my next book is I love books about books. And it turns out I like books about magazines because magazines aren't what they used to be, but they were so great back in the day. And so Graydon Carter's When the Going Was Good is about magazines. He's from Canada, but he came to New York in the probably late 70s, early 80s. He worked at Time, he worked at Life magazine, but he made his name by starting Spy magazine in New York, which was fantastic. I was there at that time in New York, and he and Kurt Anderson, mocked the rich and famous around New York City. It was kind of a totally original, revolutionary kind of magazine for its time. So then he finds himself after Spy, doesn't quite make it. He finds himself being installed as the editor of Vanity Fair, which was difficult at the time because he had just spent years making fun of all the rich and famous. And now here he is at Vanity Fair. There's a lot of distrust around this new editor. But he ended up being there for 25 years, making Vanity Fair the magazine that it was, which featured, of course, lots and lots of ads, but also great reporting, glitz, glamour. He brought the Vanity Fair party to Hollywood and for the Oscars, and that became a thing. So it's filled with great. He says great. These are the stories he's been telling over dinner for decades. Finally in a book. So Anne Godoff, the publisher at Penguin Press, has been friends with him for decades, and I'm sure she was each time he'd tell one of these stories, she's like, "We got to do a book. We got to do a book." So he's working with I think his name is James Fox. He was the co-writer on Keith Richards' book, which was a great book. So the book is just filled with there's gossip, there's great storytelling, there's a little bit of score settling. I would say Anna Wintour in particular gets it from him here. But I loved it. It's so much fun. It took me back to that time. Now I'm going to share with you this. This was in a review, so I can tell you this story because the writer told the story. But this just shows you how good it was. Brian Burrow, who Penguin Press actually publishes still, he was one of the main writers at Vanity Fair. And he says, this was in his review of this book, for 25 years, I was contracted to produce 3 articles a year. That's 3 long ones, typically 10,000 words. For this, my peak salary was $498,141. That's not a misprint. $498,141, or more than $166,000 per story. Then, as now, $166,000 was a good advance for an entire book. Yes, I realized it was obscene. I took it with a grin. So those were the days. So we're so far from that now, but it's fun to dip into the past. So I think if you like Griffin Dunn's book from last year, this is for you.
Which I loved. Friday
Yes.
afternoon club. Friday afternoon, is that what it was called? Friday
afternoon club. Yeah.
What a great book that is. Thank you for mentioning that. It's one of my favorites I don't think that got enough attention. We should talk about
I know.
that.
Yeah.
We should, when that comes out in paperback, let's talk about it again.
We will.
Yeah. But Graydon Carter is like legendary for all of the things you just mentioned, and his stories are going to be really fun to read, really juicy and fun. A window into a bygone era, like your book, Julia, about the Village Voice, which the name can't escape me at the moment.
Yes.
It escaped Julia too, thank God. It's not just me.
Hang on, I'll get it. One sec.
Anyway, these were important magazines and newspapers for people. The Village Voice was an important paper. Vanity Fair still very influential. It's not in the same way or the same kind of thing, but when the Freaks came out, thank you,
Yes.
Ginny.
That's right.
Thank you for remembering that. And he was at the center of it. So I was super excited to see this. It's really, and of course, in this kind of book, the writing is everything, right?
Yeah.
It can go a number of ways, but he's a great writer. So
He's a great writer and an editor. And I love that this is the season of the Canadians because there's a big Lauren Michaels book out, biography.
Yes, which is also, is that your book, Tom?
It's Random House. So
okay, it's a great book, by the way. Joey,
love that too.
You can pop that link up, Joey, because I just kind of casually picked that one up and got sucked right in. And I actually just was looking at a random page, but then I had to keep reading it. So, what's that one called, Tom?
I think it's just called Lauren. Yeah.
There it is, Lauren. Another great book. So this is a big, weighty book as well. It's not like a small, unassuming book, but really something to sink your teeth into. A lot of fun and a great perspective into, and see what we did there. We talked about like 3 other books at the same time. So, yay us. Thanks, Tom. All right, Dave. No, sorry, Julia. Back to you.
It's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. You hear me?
Okay. Yes. Sorry, my screen has the little not.
It says that that we can't hear you, and yet we can.
And yet we can. Okay. And yes, Ginny, it's When the Freaks Came Out to Write, or The Freaks Came Out to Write, maybe was the title. And it that one won I think a Gothamist award for best book. Yeah. Anyway, my next book is a children's book because I listen when Deborah says she likes children's books. So
we've been doing so many great children's books. It's wonderful. I love to see it. It's great. Yeah.
You keep being excited about them. And so since I know, other reps don't always have children's books that they get to talk about.
That's true.
I'm happy to talk about them.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, are just one of the most gorgeous children's books I've seen in a long time. It's called Big Enough. And it is by Regina Linke. And this is it's a fable, a Chinese fable of the ox herd boy, which is basically about this little boy who his father decides that it's time for him to go start to learn how to herd oxes. So he has to herd this one ox. And he keeps getting all this advice from all the different people and animals around him as he's going to herd this one ox. And they're like, don't do this, don't ride the ox, don't do this. And then when he gets to the ox is like, well, I will come back with you, but I'm scared to walk alone, and I'm scared of water. And he tells them all the things he's scared of, and so they sort of go on this journey together. And this is I wish I could show you spreads, because this is just, the illustrations are some of the most gorgeous children's illustrations I have seen in a long, long time. They're beautifully illustrated. My best friend has a 10-month-old son, and I got an early copy of this and I gave it to her, and she said he demands every night. It's one of his like demand books. Every night she has to read this book to him. And what she told me was, thank God it's this book, because I really like this one. I don't have to read like some book that I hate over and over again. And so this is just, I think, has the possibility for Caldecott honors and all of those great sort of children's awards, but just a phenomenal children's book to give as a gift, or if you have children in your life that you read to every night, this is a great one.
Definitely a great gift. Absolutely. Look at that. We don't have any inside pages, right, Joey? Maybe.
Do you want me to? I have some in Edelweiss, but I don't know if that works.
Joey can pull them up if they're there. But okay. I just judging from the cover there, I love this kind of illustration. It's beautiful, and that the way that the title is done over there to make it look like Chinese characters is so amazing as well. It's really beautiful, lovely little touch, right? And I can see
Yeah.
this being, I can also see this being, like you said, Julia, award winner. Beautiful, gorgeous illustrations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Our littlest readers are turn out to be our informed adult readers. Oh, there we go. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Those are gorgeous. That's just
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
This is something I think adults can get into as well.
Yeah.
These are
It's really,
really stunning.
and I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, yeah, looking, if you go into the shop and look at the actual book, it's like
Mhm.
even more stunning when you see it
Yeah.
on paper. Yeah.
These are absolutely gorgeous illustrations.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Like it's an art piece.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Beautiful.
Totally.
Thank you, Joey. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And thanks, Julia. Um, over back to you, Dave.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I also have chosen a children's title for my third pick today. And weirdly enough, this also comes to us from Hardy Grant. But Hardy Grant have a division of children's books each season called Bright Light Books. And their little tagline of what they do is Bright Light Books help modern families shine a light on the world around them. And this book
Can I
shines.
just say one thing,
Oh,
Dave?
yeah.
I'm sorry not to interrupt you, but I had no idea that Bright Light was Hardy Grant. I've
Yeah.
been seen these books before. I didn't know for some reason. They're the best. I
Oh,
love
good.
Bright Light.
Well,
Yeah.
good. They do like about 5-6 books a season. As you know from what I've been talking about today, Hardy Grant really is primarily cookbooks, interiors, decor, design, art, and stuff. But these kids' books are so great. They're really good at visual nonfiction. They do some narrative kind of picture book stuff too. But this book is Your Brilliant Brain from Philip Bunting. This is a playful poke around an extremely mysterious thing that we all carry around with us, our brains. And it basically is so dynamic and so colorful and cute. It's like a fairly thin little picture book, but it is absolutely loaded with infographics and information, super amazing spreads that show us the remarkable capacities of our brains, all the functionality of our brains, how they work, how we can take care of them and keep them humming at an optimal kind of speed by resting and eating well. It talks about the structure of the brain, how the nervous system plugs into it with all these kind of cute characters and these really kind of happy and fun graphics. But it's such a complex thing, and it's so hard to explain to children kind of how the brain works, how the brain affects various parts of the body, what happens to the brain when we're sleeping. Does it go to sleep? Does it really ever stop working? All these things are just outlined in this really graphic and really bold kind of infographic style that's really easy to digest, easy to take in, and just so easy to understand in a visual sense. Just fun spreads showing us how the nervous system works. And it just goes on. It's just like for a fairly compact book, it really is just absolutely loaded with information. How do memories work? Where do we store them? How do we call them back when we need them? Just everything is broken down in this really fun way. How our emotions play into our brain and all that. So it's an $18.99 hardcover. This is out now, and I believe you do have this in stock in Brentwood. I
Yeah.
remember having it
I,
almost ordered.
yeah, I've seen it, and it's what a great book. I love. I often pick up these kids' books, and and learn a lot from them. Actually, the coding for babies board books are my favorite. I'm like, maybe I could learn something, and yeah, they're hard. Um, they are. But this is another one of those that's, I mean, I think it's great. It's great to read this along with your younger reader and learn some things yourself and then be able to explain concepts that the kids need a little more elucidation on, for example. It's really fun, a lot of great information, very well delivered. And this, like I said before, I had no idea it was Hardy Grant. It seems odd, but they're great. The Bright Light books, they're fantastic. Ginny says she's a psychotherapist and she would like this one. Yeah, exactly. Especially, I think, Ginny, Dave, for explaining emotions are a thing that younger people, younger kids, need help with managing them, understanding them, being able to kind of deal with them in a way, and understanding sort of where they come from is also extremely helpful. So, a great book. Thank you, Dave. Tom?
Okay. So my next book is Amor Towles' Table for Two, which is out in paper this week. So this is this will be the only Amor book for the year. So if you didn't pick it up in hardcover, pick it up in paperback as you prepare for whenever we get the next novel. So this is a collection of 6 stories, 6 New York stories set around the year 2000 or so, and so there's 6 stories set in New York, and then there is a novella that follows up on his first novel, Rules of Civility. It's at the end of Rules of Civility. Eve was on her way home to the Midwest, to Indiana. She was on a train, but it turns out she didn't get off the train. She stayed on the train all the way to Los Angeles, and so the novella is Eve in Hollywood. So it's totally satisfying, especially if you read Rules of Civility. It's it's got a little bit of noir. It's Eve in Los Angeles, 1937, 38, as they're making Gone with the Wind. It's totally entertaining. It's totally Amor. And we should have known that he's a fantastic short story writer. I mean, these were the first short stories I'd read by him. But he is a modern master, and they are old-fashioned in the best sense, completely satisfying. Each one is, self-contained, completely satisfying. This mostly brings a smile to your face, sometimes a tear. Just so good. So, Table for Two in paperback.
And it's a substantial paperback, and I do think that the hardcover was pretty big, and a little bit daunting for some people. And so I think that this is definitely a case where it'll get it'll have legs. Yeah, in paperback for sure. And then sometimes people are hesitant about stories as well if it's not a novel. But we've had this conversation on Elevenses before, and it's really harder to write a short story than it is a good short story than it is to write a novel. Yeah. And he does it really well. And so if you're an Amor Towles fan, and I don't think there is anybody who isn't, then it's definitely worth picking up in paperback.
I should mention that Amor is going to be a rare appearance. He's going to be at the LA Times Festival of Books in 2 or 3 weeks, whenever.
And that is coming. That is coming right up, isn't it? That's the end of this month. It's
April 27th.
Yeah, it's already April 9th, so probably like a couple of weeks.
Hard to believe.
What is time? Independent Bookstore Day is coming up, and all of these
same
things.
Weekend is Independent Bookstore Day, so there you go.
Is it? Does it fall on that?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
It doesn't always, but it does this
year. No,
it
doesn't. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tom. All right. So we have time. And our wonderful reps have in their bags a bonus book for today. Very exciting. So, Julia, what's your bonus book?
Our lightning round.
The lightning round. That's right. Yes, I love this book.
My bonus book is another cookbook called Yasso. And I may have talked about it before when it came out. Did I not? Okay. So I just have loved this book since it was announced, but it finally came. You'll see that I have put post-it notes of all the things that I want to cook in it. It is so, again, simple recipes, but delicious. I made a beet salad with yogurt sauce the other day. This yogurt with lemon and a little bit of white wine vinegar and garlic sauce over these beets that were just to die for. It is an absolutely delicious, delectable Greek, let's see if I can get this correct, Greek cookbook. You can see all the great imagery, and it's even got some sort of talking about Greece and the different regions of Greece, and some good photos of Greece and the Greek islands. So it's amazing. If you like Mediterranean food of any kind, this covers it, and it's so
I love me a Greek cookbook. Love it. All of them. I have a lot, and I have this one, and I love this one, and it's great. And I'm like, did she talk about it actually? Because, but I think you haven't, and it's just because I've seen it in my house.
I feel like I've talked, and it got moved season, so I like spent the whole season excited about it, and then it got moved. Yeah. So it's like
it's a great book. It's a great book. Mediterranean/Greek food is fantastic, versatile, easy, tasty, and very easy to adapt to a number of different dietary restrictions. So it's just awesome. It's a great book. Thanks, Julia. Great bonus pick. Dave?
Okay. I'm going to talk about a book I talked about back in February because I love it so much, and I want to do
a lifetime ago. Nobody remembers February.
I know. What was February 2025? It was a lifetime ago. Gosh, I love this book, and I can't stop.
It's so great! It's such a great.
I can't stop talking about this book everywhere I go. This is called A Fearless Eye. This is the photography of Barbara Ramos. And you may remember if you saw me talk about it 2 months ago or have heard me blab about this incessantly. She was a student at the San Francisco Institute of Art in the late 60s. She went there from 1969 for a couple of years and studied photography, walked the streets of San Francisco with her camera and her fearless eye, hence the title, and took remarkable photos throughout the city, in the outlying areas, primarily in the city, but also kind of around Northern California, of just everyday things, everyday slices of life, people on the streets. In this book, there are photographs of a group of Hare Krishnas singing on Market Street. There is an amazing photo of a window dresser changing a mannequin in the Union Square Macy's, 2 men leaning in for a kiss at a peace rally in Golden Gate Park. Something with street photography that I love is that you have to capture that moment. And you also have to not be intrusive as a street photographer. You have to be able to be empathetic. You have to be able to put your subjects at ease and not intrude upon the moment and wreck it. So you have to sort of be innocuous and anonymous, but then you also have to kind of be connected to what's happening. And she had truly a fearless eye. It is scary to point a camera at complete strangers. I mean, it really is. Now I think we're a lot more acclimated to having people holding cameras and phones near us, and we don't really think twice about it. This is a wild shot. Some of these are playful. Some of them are really unexpected. Some are kind of, just these moments that seem so quiet that she captured. The real story behind the book is that she took these photos from 69 to 73. She put the photos away in 73 in a box and forgot about them and didn't pursue a career in photography, let them sit for 50 years. She is still alive, living in San Francisco. Her husband, Joe, came to her during the pandemic and said, you got to do something with those photos you took 50 years ago. So she printed the negatives, got them out into the world. SF MoMA took notice. The acclaimed writer, Stephen Heller, took notice. And the whole photography world kind of sat up and took notice. So this is the debut book of Barbara Ramos's amazing Portraits of San Francisco, now back in the world. She's been doing events for the past 3 weeks in the Bay Area. Absolutely thrilled to connect with the public and to find that people love these photographs and this amazing glimpse of the city. A little bit of LA in here too, but mostly SF. I just adore it, and I'm so proud of her and happy for her. So, A Fearless Eye, out now.
Dave mentioned this because I remember when you talked about it, and I was totally fascinated by it. And then I got my copy, and I opened it. I just could not stop looking at it. I just was mesmerized, and just holding it and looking at it and looking at all the pictures. It's amazing. It's an incredible book, but also it's such a great value. It's so incredibly reasonably priced for what you're getting, I'm an evangelist for this book now, Dave. So share it with everybody.
Barbara Ramos, Jenny, is her name. Ramos.
Yeah. And it's absolutely beautiful. Jenny knows because Jenny's taken some amazing photos herself. And I think you'll really like this one, Jenny, if you haven't seen it already. It's an absolutely gorgeous book. Great bonus pick. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you talked about it because I missed you the first time. So
Oh, it's so great, and it's so inexpensive for what you're
Yeah,
getting.
35. It's like a really
Yeah.
good size.
Yeah.
It's just I'm mesmerized when I look at it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They really are like that. They really I just couldn't stop looking through it. I just sitting there on the couch, just completely lost in it. Beautiful. Yeah. Tom, wrap it up for the day. Why don't you?
I'll do that. So The Friend, Sigrid Nunez. The reason I'm talking about The Friend, many reasons. It's one of my favorite books of the last, I don't know how many years. It's also a movie. And so the movie is just released. It stars Naomi Watts and Bill Murray. I saw it last week. It's fantastic. I mean, the book, it's so rare to, I mean, this if you've read The Friend, if you haven't read The Friend, you're going to read The Friend because you must read The Friend. It's out in paperback, of course. I just holding up the hardcover, but it is a very interior book, as all of her books are. And it's hard to imagine how they could translate that on film, but they do a good job of getting at that. I mean, it's different. It's very different, but really well done. And stars a Great Dane named Bing as the Apollo, as Apollo, the main character. This is the friend. I would say, well, there's many friends, but it's a book about grief and loss, but it's funny. She's always funny. She's always philosophical. She's so smart. Sigrid is, and I can't recommend it enough. It won the National Book Award that year, maybe 5-6 years ago, and highly recommend the book first. Read the book first, then go see the movie.
Always read the book first.
Yes.
Always read the book first.
Yes.
But just you get more, I think, out of both the film adaptation and the book if you read the book first.
Yeah, 100%.
Because very, very important. It's interesting because I had a book club discussion recently, and it was A Cafe with No Name. And I don't know if you all have Andrea. It's one of Andrea's books, a Europa book, and it's about Vienna in the late 60s and early 70s. I created a whole picture in my mind, and one of the readers had brought in photographs of the actual place at that time, and it was completely different than what I had created. And what books are so good at doing is making you create these incredible worlds and characters, and you have ideas and you form them. And so when you see the movie, it's like a second experience. It's like seeing somebody else's, the way somebody else saw it. You still have your own though. And so you've still created your own impression of the book. And so it's sort of it's like a bonus to see the movie after reading the book. And that is my TED talk. Thank you for coming. But I know you're a huge fan of Sigrid Nunez, Tom. Yeah. I haven't read The Friend. It's been on my list forever. But that's another great incentive actually to go back. It's steady seller for us, and I'm sure we'll pick up even more after the film.
Well, yeah, and I will say about the film, the Great Dane that stars in the film, it is an incredible performance. I can't tell you how an animal give a performance like this. It's really
good. Interesting. All right, I'm all in. And Dave says there was a great Bill Murray interview in the New York Times last week about the movie and the book. Excellent.
Yeah, there's audio of it, which is a great listen. It's like almost an hour-long interview with him.
Wow.
Pretty
all right. Yeah. That sounds great.
That's really good.
Well, thank you. That's a great way to wrap everything up today. Thank you all so much. And see, I knew it. I knew when we were spraying the bonus right at the end there, I knew you would all have something wonderful to bring in, and you have. And all really wonderful books, all very, very tasty in more ways than one. I appreciate you all bringing them. I appreciate everybody for joining us today. And thank you so much, Dave Ehrlich from Chronicle Books, Julia Callahan from Hachette, Tom Benton from Penguin, the A-Team, and Joey behind the scenes for all the links and everything, and all of you for joining us. We'll be back again next week. We will have more books, more sales reps and more booksellers. And of course, more books to talk about. So I hope you will come back and join us then. And in the meantime, everybody stay sane, read books, and have a great week. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.